right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. Some really interesting classic physique news. As far as the Arnold Classic is concerned, we finally got the physique reveal from Urs Kalecinski. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, Blessing Awodibu reveals that he is prepping for a show and kind of reveals what show he's doing. He posted this update on his Facebook page, but his caption on Facebook, he posted this on both Facebook and Instagram, but his caption on Facebook was different. He says 9 weeks out. Now, there's only 3 upcoming pro shows. The Arnold Classic, or that fall into that range. The Arnold Classic, which is obviously this weekend. The next show after that is the Boston Pro, which is the week after the Arnold, so 2 weeks away. Then you have the Arnold Classic Brazil, which is the 22nd through the 24th, which is about 8 weeks away. A little less than 8 weeks. And then you've got the Indy Pro, which is May 14th, which is about 10 weeks away. So I'm assuming he's talking about the Indy Pro, which was the same show that he did last year where he made his pro debut. So I kind of had a lucky guess with that one because when he started posting these physique updates at the beginning of the year, I said I think he's getting ready for a show, and I think the show that he's going to do would be the Indy Pro because at the beginning of the year, that show was still, 5.5 months out. And this time around, he's working with George Farah, so a different guru than he worked with last time, so maybe we'll see a different result. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Blessing step on stage again. I'm looking forward to seeing the improvements that he's made. Again, kind of the 2 areas that we're looking for with Blessing, improvements to the lower body and improvements to conditioning. I think he came in a little bit flat and a little bit soft at both the New York Pro and the Indy Pro last year. So we want to see a sharper but still fuller version of Blessing with maybe a little bit more filled out legs. Now, next up in the news, let's dive straight into the meat of this video. Classic physique. Classic physique at the Arnold. More specifically, a classic physique competitor, Urs Kalecinski, who a lot of people have been talking about, very mysterious during this Arnold Classic prep. He has not posted anything, basically anything since the Olympia until now. No physique updates, no hints, no clues, no teasers. He's been in shadow mode, despite the fact that on paper, he's one of the most dangerous bodybuilders in this lineup. On paper, he should place no lower than top 3 because there's only 2 men that have beaten him in this lineup, and those are Rough Diesel and, of course, Breon Ainsley. So we finally get to see how he's looking, basically a full view of his physique. Now, my first impressions of these updates. Number 1, I think it looks like there's no argument that he's added size. He's definitely bigger this time around. He's added some quality muscle to his physique. I think that is without question. So he absolutely looks improved to me in these photos, and that was the big question mark that I was wondering with him specifically because I was looking at Ramon, the guy that placed behind him at the Olympia, Ramon Dino. And we actually saw Ramon compete between the Arnold Classic and the Olympia, and I think he looked improved at the show that he did, the Expo Pro show, and he's looked improved in all the physique updates that we've seen. So that was my big question with Urs, was maybe we would see Ramon improve and not see Urs improve as much, and maybe Ramon could catch him slipping. But what Urs has proved in this update is that he has improved. He looks a lot better to me. The second thing that I noticed is that he's absolutely shredded here. He's in really good shape, so I don't think we have to worry about him coming in off. I think he's going to be a serious threat at that show, but that makes me want to compare him to the guy that he needs to beat. This is going to be his biggest obstacle, I think, is going to be beating Breon at this show. He couldn't quite beat him at the Olympia, but he's improved between now and the Olympia. So let's throw up a comparison. One of the updates that Breon posted a few weeks ago, a back double bicep, showing off the detail on his back. Let's put that side by side with Urs and his back double bicep. Now, while Urs has pretty wide lats, especially from the front, really enhancing his V-taper, I do want to point out the level of detail that you can see in Breon's back compared to Urs. And I've got to say, this whole Arnold Classic prep, this build-up to the Arnold, has made me an even bigger fan of Breon than I was before. Because before, we were comparing mostly Breon to Chris. That was the rivalry that we were looking at. But when you compare Breon to these other guys, these other top classic physique guys, you can really see the reasons why Breon was on top for the amount of time that he was. You can really see why he won those Olympia titles, why he won the Arnold Classic, While Breon might not carry the size that Bumstead carries, the stage presence that Bumstead carries, the same structure as Bumstead, what he does do very masterfully is bring those details to the stage. And I said this before when talking about Ramon. It's going to be an obstacle for Ramon Dino to get past Breon because we've got to appreciate how good Breon really is, especially from the back. I think these guys are going to have a hard time beating him from the back. And I got to say, I still stand by my prediction of Terrence in first and Breon in second. However, I believe in my prediction video, I predicted Ramon in third and Urs in fourth. I can see this version of Urs Kalecinski beating Ramon and winding up in third place. Can Urs beat Breon? I think is going to be the biggest question at the Arnold. And I think you got the problem area of the back. And I think the other point that Urs still needs to bring up is the arms, specifically the biceps. But that being said, I think Urs looks fantastic here. I think he's going to do very well at the Arnold Classic. Maybe he finds himself in that top two if Breon comes in off. I still have Terrence winning, still have Breon in second. I think Urs will likely be top three based on what we're seeing here. And be sure to let me know who you guys have in the Classic Physique lineup. Like, what are your predictions? Right now, after these updates, I've got Urs over Ramon. But I still think it's going to be a battle. Now, next up in the news, are we about to see a comeback from Evan Centopani? He was scheduled to make a comeback, I believe it was last year or the year before, but ended up not completing that comeback as far as actually competing. Now, we've seen two recent physique updates from Evan Centopani. The first being this video you're watching right here of him doing some pullovers. He says in the caption that that video was shot earlier today, and that was less than a week ago. But you can see in that video, Evan looks like he's in fantastic shape, almost to the point where he might be prepping for a show. I mean, what other reason would he be, in that good of shape? Look at his midsection, his abdominals. He's really lean in this update. And then more recently, a day ago, he posted this picture of a screen of a camera showing a twisted back double biceps, and he says that was taken an hour ago on the day that he posted it. So again, he looks like he's in phenomenal shape. Are we about to see Evan jump in one of these upcoming shows? I mean, we are about to kick off the bodybuilding contest season. After the Arnold, you've got half a dozen shows in the coming couple of months. Could he be at a similar point in his prep as Blessing is? Could he be 9 to 12 weeks out from a show? Could he be less than that? What do you guys think? Evan was always one of my favorite bodybuilders when I started following pro bodybuilding, so I'd love to see him step on stage one more time. One more time at least. Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, I'm going to revise my Arnold Classic Top 6 predictions. Now that we know Cedric is out, I had Cedric in 6th. Akeem is out. I had Akeem in 5th. I'm going to give some new predictions here. This is going to be my new top 6 for the Arnold Classic. Let's pull up the list one last time. We're less than a week out. This is going to be the last prediction video that I do. So, the list of competitors, as you guys know, updated to exclude Rafael Brandao, Nathan Diasha, Cedric McMillan, and Muhammad Shaban, and also Akeem Williams. My top 6 in 6th place. Replacing Cedric, I have Samson Dauda. Samson Dauda, to me, has one of the most beautiful structures in men's open bodybuilding right now. It almost looks like a classic physique structure, but he's got so much size, it would be impossible for him to compete in that category. Some of the updates that we've seen from Samson lately, he looks extremely impressive. He's a show winner. He won Prague, where he beat Nathan, who was one of the best bodybuilders in this lineup before he pulled out. He beat Regan there. He beat Rafael there. He is a phenomenal bodybuilder, and I think he's going to be top 6 here. In 5th place, I'm sure a lot of you guys will be happy that I'm including this guy in my top 6. I think he's going to be very dangerous, especially now that Akeem is out and Cedric is out. Brett Wilkin. I've got Brett Wilkin in my top 6 now. Not only in my top 6, but in 5th place. And I also want to put this with a caveat that based on how Brett has been looking lately, I've got Brett battling for 4th. I think it's going to be close between Brett and Steve, based on what we've seen from Steve so far. And Steve said that he was sick a little over a week out from the show. Could that impact his prep? Could that impact his placing of 4th? Possibly. I think Brett and Steve are going to be battling it out between 4th and 5th, but right now, I've got Steve in 4th. So Brett in 5th, Steve Kuklo in 4th place. 3rd place, I think, is my boldest prediction. I still am loving what I'm seeing from this guy. Justin Rodriguez is my prediction for 3rd. I think he has been looking incredible. His updates have really impressed me the most, I think, of anybody in this lineup. He's posted the most updates, so there's that. That could be tilting my perspective on him, but he's looked like he's in better shape in most of those updates than most of the people that we're talking about in this lineup. I'm really impressed by Justin. He was 4th last year. 4th at last year's Arnold, and 2 of the guys that beat him at last year's Arnold, Ian and Nick, are both not here. I really see Justin moving into that top 3 this year. I think this is going to be a breakout year for Justin Rodriguez, and a lot more people are going to know the name. In 2nd place, I still have William Bonac. I think William Bonac is a very consistent bodybuilder. On paper, one of the best bodybuilders in this lineup, and I think he is consistent enough to get the job done here and still wind up a top 2 guy. He's been a top 3 Olympian. He's an Arnold Classic champion that technically never lost his title because he never got to face off against Nick Walker, so technically he wasn't beaten during his Arnold Classic reign. But again, I think the man that will win this show is Brandon Curry. I don't think Brandon can be stopped. I don't think Bonac can stop him. I don't think Brett can stop him. I don't think Justin. I don't think Steve. I think Brandon Curry is still in a league of his own. He's still the only Mr. Olympia winner in this lineup. Keep that in mind. He is the only man in this lineup with a Sandow waiting for him when he gets home. He is on paper by far the best bodybuilder in this lineup. And I still think he is still in his prime. He's only 39. I still think we might not have even seen the best version of Brandon yet. And I still think that Brandon has the potential to win another Olympia title at some point. Whether it's this year or the next year or a couple years down the line, I still think Brandon could get another title. But let me know your Arnold Classic predictions in the comments down below. Where do you disagree with me? Where do you think I'm wrong? And just another friendly reminder, my old Instagram was disabled. My new Instagram is just simply at Nick Strength Power. Nick Strength Power. You can see it here on the screen. I've been slowly trying to build it up. We've gotten about 1,000 followers a day on there, but my old account with 100K was disabled by Instagram. It wasn't hacked. It was just randomly disabled right before the Arnold, which sucks. So if you want to help me out, if you want to follow me, follow that new Instagram at Nick Strength Power. I would really appreciate that. Make sure you thumbs up the video, give it a like. That helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. That always helps out. Click that bell notification icon. I'll see you guys at the Arnold. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.